and welcome to my garden. Today we are going to be planting up this container with some flowers. While I'm doing that, I'm going to finish the story of the worst days of my life. Yes, the saga continues. So I have 4 tips for you to ensure that your container planting will be a success. Number 1, drainage. Whatever kind of container that you are using, that it has proper drainage holes. This is a must. If you don't, your plants that you plant in here are going to just rot because they will be sitting in water. And it's going to get really stinky. You want to say hi to everybody? Say hi. Number 2 is to make sure that you have a water supply that can go to your container. Step 3, use a potting mix. It is different planting in containers than it is in the ground. Potting mix will protect from overwatering and underwatering. So make sure that you have a good potting mix. Old potting mix, that's fine. I reuse my potting mix. What I do is I'll take some of the old potting mix, I'll take off like the first couple of layers and I'll just add new potting mix, or you can just add some fertilizer, kind of bring it back to life. Number 4, I like to start the flowers out right and give them a little food, okay? So you want to use a little bit of fertilizer. Do whatever it says for your directions. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my potting mix with the fertilizer. I have a 2-can scarlet canna lily I'm going to use as the centerpiece. Go ahead and plant it down in here. Now, when you're planting your centerpiece, you want to make sure that you have it going in the right direction that you like, okay? Because you're going to be seeing it. So I'm going to turn this and I am going to step out of the frame for a minute and take a look. And I think that looks great. You can bring your canna lilies in during the winter. Just treat them like a house plant. And that's probably what I will do. So I think where I left off my story, the surgeon came to visit me in the hospital and said, yeah, you're gonna be fine. I have some openings tomorrow. I probably can squeeze you in. So then I told my husband, why don't you go back to work? It'll be just fine. He left for work and 2 of my friends came and they said that all of a sudden I just kind of didn't respond anymore. They were gonna leave to go home. So the surgeon comes in and he says, where's her husband at? And they say, oh, he went to work. The surgeon said, oh, well, I need him to come back. Her tests just came back. She's not doing well and her kidneys are shutting down. And if I don't get her into surgery now, she's gonna have to be on dialysis for the rest of her life. So they call my husband and I'm still out at this point. And I guess the nurses are coming in and kind of prepping me a little bit to move me to another bed so I can go and have surgery. So the doctor said to my friends, well, as soon as he gets here, I need this form signed. And so he comes back a few minutes later and my husband's still not back. And he says, I need this form signed now. You're gonna have to try to get Crescent to sign the form. So my friend said that they tried to wake me up, the doctors and nurse tried to wake me up, and I wasn't responding. So my friends took the pen and put it in my hand and held up the form, and they moved my hand around to sign the paper so I could go to surgery. So during surgery, the surgeon made an incision. He was trying to clean out the infected tissue and whatnot inside my body. Still had the infection even though I had the surgery. They were having a hard time finding an antibiotic that worked on helping this infection. Still had infection kind of oozing inside my body. He packed my incision, which, you know, was 5 inches, but then it was quite deep. It was wide. It was probably about, oh geez, 2 inches wide. Ended up having to take everything, take the muscle out. He ended up packing the incision with about 3 feet of gauze. And before he packed it, he soaked it in saline solution, and then they kind of just laid it in there in my chest. And then they just stuck a patch over it. Well, I woke up the next day to them changing the gauze in my incision, and I was screaming. That was the worst pain I've ever been in my life. I thought before I was admitted to the hospital was bad. This was bad. I was already hooked up to a pain pump that would give me Dilaudid like every hour or something like that, just automatically. And they would also come in and they would give me a shot of Dilaudid, and I think I was like on some other mild painkiller of something or the other. So I had a lot of painkillers. So I woke up and they said, oh, give her another bolus, like one of the nurse. And so they did something to the little pain pump machine and it gave me another thing. And then the lady said, I'm gonna give you a shot right now. So they gave me both of those things at once. And I still could feel it. And it just, that gauze, because it was wet when they put it in, it had dried, and the infection stuff, like, you know, like when you have a Band-Aid and you put it on the scab, and when you rip it off, sometimes the scab comes off with the Band-Aid, and you're just like, ah, that's how it was, the infection inside of me. That piece of gauze that seemed never ending just was like, just tearing off the flesh inside my body, it seemed like. They finished that, and not surprisingly, because I had so much pain medicine, I slept for the rest of the night. I woke up and there was a 2-pound box of See's candy that my husband had brought me. I love See's candy. That is my favorite thing ever. I remember being really medicated and trying these See's chocolates, taking bites of them, and if I didn't like it, I threw it on the ground. And I remember there was a janitor lady in there and a nurse, and the janitor was in there cleaning up, and the nurse said, don't worry about that, I'll pick it up when she's done. This is gonna look so pretty, the yellow next to the orange. Later on, I found out about the rest of the story. So my husband came in and talked with the surgeon, and he said, my husband said, how is she? And the surgeon said, well, she's not out of the woods yet. She's super sick. We can't find an antibiotic that is helping. And if she doesn't start responding to something, we don't know what to do for her. My husband said that at that point he was really kind of scared, and he brought the kids to visit me. And my kids have all told me that I didn't look like my normal self, and I didn't respond to them, and kind of sad. But so my husband was thinking, this is it, you know? My family basically comes to say goodbye to me in the hospital. The next day, my husband comes back, and I remember feeling much better, but I was still really, really sick. I remember telling him about the cafeteria menu because it was literally 3 pages long. But basically, I was allowed to eat anything on this menu. And this was the first time I had seen the menu because I had been so sick. And I remember showing him, look at this menu, and him just kind of laughing. I probably ordered something, I don't remember. I started to feel better each day. I ended up staying in the hospital a total of 9 days. So I think on day 4 or 5, they found an antibiotic that was helping. I was awake a lot more and can remember a lot of things. I was still heavily drugged, but I was awake. It was almost Christmas time, and the doctor said, yeah, you're doing much better. So the next day I said to my husband, I said, I really want to go home. I haven't wrapped presents for Christmas. There was so much I needed to do before Christmas. And I think this was like December 19th. The 19th or the 20th. The doctor said, okay, that's fine. We can put you on antibiotic pills now and send you home. So I went home. Well, they gave me some pain medication, oxycodone and Oxycontin. I was still really, really sick. I don't know what I was thinking I was gonna go home and wrap presents and go to a store and finish Christmas shopping because I was so sick. So we had Christmas. It was really nice from what I can remember of it. I was on a lot of painkillers still because I was super sick. Days after Christmas, and wanted to drive. So I stopped taking my oxycodone and oxycontin. December 27th, I woke up and I felt really good, and I wanted to start driving. And my husband was super busy, and I had just a lot of stuff that I needed to get done because I had been sick for basically 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks before that, and then the 2 weeks before that, I was recovering from the first major surgery. Stopped taking medicine probably about 15 hours after I stopped taking the medicine. I started to cry. I was so emotional. I was shaking, and I was sweating, and I kind of felt nauseated a little bit. I told my husband, I think I have the flu. He's like, oh, you know, he was kind of worried that maybe my infection was back. And I'm like, no, this is different. I don't feel good, and I think I just really need to rest. I think I overdid it. And so I said, I'm gonna try to go to sleep. So I laid down for a little while, and I couldn't sleep. I just kept crying and crying and crying. And our last beautiful flower. So my husband says, we're gonna have to take you to the ER. I think something's really wrong with you. So we get in the car and we go to the ER, and it seems like forever before anybody sees us, because that's just, you know, how normal ERs are. I still had the crying spells. I was still shaking. I was sure that I had the flu, and my husband was sure that my infection was back, and we were waiting for the doctor. Look at our beautiful planner. It's all done. Isn't this so pretty? It just turned out so nice. I'm gonna clean up around here and give it some water, but I think it's just gonna be beautiful. And if you wanna know the rest of the story, you're gonna have to stay tuned. So until next time, my friends, get your hands dirty, plant love, grow hope, and harvest peace.